We are discussing immigration reform on our political roundtable. And if you want to weigh in on the question, please give us a call or tweet us at Leslie Marshall. The phone number is 888-6-LESLIE. And the question we are considering is how long can the United States live with a broken immigration system? Mark, how long can America live with a broken immigration system?
Well, apparently very long because we've done it this long. And, I think the more that it's in the spotlight does help, even if something doesn't get passed right away, because I think more and more Americans are educating themselves about why comprehensive immigration reform is important. And the number one issue, and I think Julie would agree with this, is the economic implications when you add 11.5 million people, into the system. And, they can pay taxes, they can get involved with the job market. You're going to have upwards pressure to raise wages by these workers. They can organize. So I think there's a lot of value that can be had economically. And I think if, the American people start to receive that information in addition to all the, hateful talking points they're getting about, these people are going to take our jobs and yada, yada. Well, here's a fact. They're already here. They're already working if they want to be working. And because they're not on the books, large companies and different employers can scare them into taking wages less than minimum wage by saying, oh, yeah, you don't like it? Well, guess what? I'm going to call ICE and get you deported. Whereas if they were actually, legal and had rights, they could then fight for those wages, and it would put upwards pressure, like I said, on these companies to enhance not only the rights of these, newly formed U.S. citizens, but also other workers' rights, almost to an analogy like I would say when unions in the past, when they championed the 40-hour work week and paid vacations and different workers' rights, that didn't only help people who were in unions, it helped all workers.
Mark, you want to weigh in? That was a pun, actually.
I do think there's a lot of things that I've learned from you politically, Brad, I would say, over the years.
Oh, God help you.
The presidential election is so far away. And, if anybody, tells us about scandals of the past and how, or quote unquote scandals of the past and how they can be forgotten, I mean, look no further than across the other side of the political aisle at the, front runner in Hillary Clinton, because there's plenty of, dirt that Republicans, think or thought that they had, dug up on her. And, look how those things kind of faded to black. Now, I will say those were very far in the rearview mirror, and a lot of them were a guilt by association where, a lot of conservatives were going after her husband when he was president, which really, you can't blame her for that. That just makes no sense. And the thing I think Christie has going against him is really, I mean, before this happened in December, he did, to me, look like a formidable candidate for the Republican Party, because he had what I think Mitt Romney and John McCain had going before they got into primary season was they didn't look so far right compared to the rest of the field. Now, obviously, once those candidates got into the GOP primaries, it was everybody was pushing each other over to see who could move the furthest to the right, and they just were playing follow the leader with that. But that said, one of the numbers that I found very interesting from this latest CNN ORC poll was Christie was up on Hillary 48 to 46% in December. Now he is down 16 points to her, so he's dropped 18 points since December, which is massive. But the other thing is he's lost a bunch of ground among independents who I think were really key for him if a Republican was going to pick up some of these key demographics. He had 59% support amongst independents in December. In this most recent poll, he's at 39%. So that's a 20% drop. Now, even if he can work his way back and gain some of those independents, I still think that's going to be a very long road to hoe when he's already, digging this much of himself out. And I mean, look at how much work he's got to be done just to get back up into the likes of who's the front runner now, Mike Huckabee. I mean, they really don't have any fresh faces right now, and I'm sure that can change. I mean, everybody can give you the Barack Obama argument. Look where he came from, nowhere. So I'm sure that can still happen. But as of now, I mean, I would think Hillary Clinton has to be feeling pretty good looking at things, and Chris Christie's handlers and Chris Christie himself have to be feeling, I would say, pretty bad based on this. I haven't seen a big swing like this in a long time. I think she is very well defined. People either, hate her or love her. There's not a lot of in between. So I do feel that, because she's a known entity and people know what they're getting, and with that said, she's having these, very high favorable ratings. I think that's a very good sign for her. I also think that, a lot of Democrats, I volunteered, went door-to-door in Pennsylvania in '08 and door-to-door in Ohio in 2012 for President Obama, and I fully support him, and I think he's done a great job, especially considering, the Congress that he's had to deal with a lot of the time. And honestly, a lot of people forget a lot of the blue dog Democrats that he had to try to work through when he did have the House and the Senate and didn't have the filibuster-proof majority. That said, I do think, some Democrats will want someone who's more seasoned because of the way the Republican Party is today, and they're going to want someone who can get in there and, fight the fight that is get down there and get dirty, basically, knows a lot of the things that are going to be thrown at them. Whereas the president, I think, the current president is an idealist who, is very progressive minded and saw a lot of his efforts peeled back. I mean, just looking at healthcare, he originally went from wanting single payer to then say, okay, let's go with the public option. And now, we have the Affordable Care Act, which I still think is a great improvement over what we had. But look how far, it got pushed back.